Hi guys, I look disgusting. That's okay. We're not going to talk about that. But today's video is going to be a video that I had made a few years back, and it was about telling your parents that you self-harm. This is a video that I've gained a lot of attention on, therefore I believe it is best for me to make another video, so if there's any possibilities of me explaining things better, so on and so forth, we're gonna do it. We got this, my dudes. Let's go. So, of course, it is very difficult to tell a parent, a guardian, a teacher, a friend, whoever it is that you are dealing with self-destructive behaviors, and it is very difficult to receive reactions of anger and misunderstanding and all these other things, because chances are the individual that you are telling is not aware of how to deal with the situation, and they are not aware of self-harm. I'm going to explain a little bit about my situation and how I sort of eased things with my mother in terms of self-injury. I started self-harming in 2011, and my mom found out, I believe, a few months into me starting, through a friend's parent who found out through my best friend due to seeing my arm when like a bunch of bracelets went up or whatever. And she had told her mom told my mom. It was this whole thing. My mom, of course, was very angry, and that is an initial reaction for parents. It is anger and blaming themselves because they feel as if they have failed as a parent. A lot of people I've talked to, and including myself, have had that reaction of getting angry and getting yelled at and just put down about it because they don't understand it, and they can't come to terms that their child would deliberately harm themselves in order to feel better, because in other people's minds it is not rational that we turn to inflicting pain upon ourselves in order to feel something and to feel better. However, the analogy I like to use is just like an alcoholic, just like a drug addict. We are taking pain and inflicting it externally while they're destroying themselves internally. It's the same concept. We're all reaching a middle ground. It's relief and to feel better, even if it is a short amount of time, which is exactly why self-harm is repetitively turned back to, because you get used to that feeling of once things get bad again, it's time to turn back to that, because that is the one thing that can bring you that relief. And then it's a vicious cycle because it is a short term of relief. When an individual harms themselves, endorphins are released in the brain, just like with drugs and alcohol and all of that other stuff that is addicting. This is very difficult to comprehend for many people, especially parents, because it just doesn't make sense to them how someone could find relief in taking pain out on themselves. However, explaining self-harm to your parents is difficult. Explaining self-harm to whoever it is that you're explaining it to is going to be difficult, because many are not as understanding as I might be or you might be. My personal preference, I'm gonna just go out on what I believe is very easy for people who have difficulties communicating. I think writing a letter is very beneficial. Start off the letter with, I want you to read this without judgment. However you please, I'm just here to help as much as I possibly can. I personally have written plenty of letters to my mom explaining self-harm and explaining what it is, what it does for me personally, short-term relief and all this other stuff. Writing a letter explaining what self-harm is, starting off by explaining the behaviors of self-harm, why people do them, and then go into that you are struggling with this and you want help. I personally believe if you are not very good at verbalizing, or you don't know exactly what to write, looking up what self-harm is, literally just look up what is self-harm, you will get a bunch of resources that you can base your letter off of. You can write what you see in your own words, of course. I find that to be very helpful. That has helped my mom gain a large understanding on self-harm, and while she doesn't completely get it, she understands a lot more than she did when I was younger. And I believe it's very helpful and beneficial. I'm going to give a quick example of the beginning of a letter that I had written to a teacher of mine. You can use this if you please, change it up, whatever. However, I just want to give you guys a little bit of an example of starting the letter. Self-harm is addicting. Most people start because they don't know where to turn, leading to it becoming a coping skill. When things become unbearable, an individual may turn to self-harm. People self-harm for many reasons, inclusive of punishing oneself, relieving tension, having control over something, distracting themselves, etc. Giving a brief example of what self-harm is, and then going into your personal situation. Okay, so I'm going to leave this off here, and if anyone has absolutely any questions, obviously the comments are down there, and I do not mind at all spending time talking to y'all. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever it may be, please feel free to contact me on all of my social medias, which will be listed in the description below. Snapchat, Instagram, Kik, and email, Twitter. There we go. Okay, hope you guys have an amazing day, week, month, year, and I am always here if anyone needs, and I love you all so much, and I encourage you all to get the help you deserve. Bye.